Welcome to The Gorgeous Effect, the podcast that's about to rock your marketing world. I'm Julie Chanel, and with my co-founder, Cathy Olson, we're the masterminds behind Funnel Gorgeous and FG Funnels. We're about to drop some serious tea on how to create funnels that not only look amazing, but actually convert into customers. We'll chat mouth-watering offers, copy, design, and give you an inside look of some of our best and worst funnels. No smoke and mirrors, just real strategies that work from two ladies who have been around the funnel block. So grab your coffee or something stronger, we won't judge, and get ready to unleash the gorgeous effect on your business. It's time to show the world what you've got. Let's do this. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Gorgeous Effect. This is Julie and Cathy. And today on the podcast, I'm handing the reins over to Cathy, who has decided to put me in the hot seat and interview me about what and with what questions I have no idea. Hello.
Well, by the time, hello, I'm like ready to get in. I'm like turning on the hot
she's not
light.
even going to say hi to me.
Yeah, I'm just diving right in. So, Miss Julie, by the time that this podcast comes out, you will be something will be launching in a day or two. And so I would, that is your book.
Yes, I know.
Grit. Yes, $1 Million Grit is Julie's new book. And I'm really excited to, I'm going to ask her some questions because I know she's actually going to be probably interviewed in a couple podcasts about this. I don't know if has the first one you've done yet?
No, I've had a few other podcasts where people, are.
Okay.
Are
well, then I think my questions are going to be the best.
All right. I'm ready.
As they should be, because this is our podcast, right? Yeah. Okay. So first question is, what was the specific moment or experience that made you realize I need to write this book? Like, was there a breaking point or a revelation that finally pushed you to be like, this is it. This is the time. This book's been happening in my head, but now's the time to write it.
Yeah. Okay. I had been toying with the idea of a book. I had like at least 3 drafts of like random book ideas. I would talk about it on social media. It was not a memoir or business. It was just like, I just had too many ideas and nothing ever really like got past 10,000 words. And it wasn't until you went to Donald Miller's house. Is that what happened? Yeah. Yes. You went to Donald Miller's house. And you said he's an author. He's a very well-established author. And you said he's having this event about book writing. You were trying to get me to go in person. I was like not having it because
there was a virtual version and an in-person version, but the in-person version is so much more fun.
I know. And she's like, come on. I'm like, no. She's like, well, let's at least do the online version. So we did that. And I think going through the outline process with that workshop was really what kicked it off, because from then on, and I think that was fall of 2023. I think that's when that was.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. It was like September of 2023. That's when I officially began writing the book, because I had started my podcast, $1 Million Grit, in August of 2023. And I thought, well, I'm just going to make a book of the same, with the same name. And so that's when it kicked off 2 years ago.
To be fair, I think that we wrote maybe like 3 books or in our outlines for like 3 or 4 books. This was one of them.
We did.
And it was, the only one that actually happened. Not to say the other ones won't happen, but this is the one that happened. So awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that was the catalyst. Actually, when I asked that question, I really didn't remember that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But I do know that it does help. So like, in summary, when you have something floating around, putting some money on it and saying, okay, we're going to buy this thing and do this thing can definitely help, move the needle and kind of get you going on something maybe you've been spinning your wheels on. Because, Julie had definitely been talking about it for as long as I've known her. I think.
What's interesting is that people think when they purchase a program that it's going to give them all the answers. And some programs do. Most programs don't, but some programs do. But I think what I have come to recognize about programs is that if you get even one nugget that creates a spark or an aha, that's enough, right? Because I don't remember much about that workshop. I do remember the basic, like how he outlined, and I think that stuck with me. And I was like, oh, and I got some note cards out and I was like doing it on note cards. And that was the nugget that set me off on the path that actually, made the book happen. And So I
Yes,
think
but
that's
you
just
had to
important.
make it happen and you had to keep making it happen and you had to, get the momentum and then lost momentum and then gain momentum again.
And then
So
lost it
like it doesn't
again.
write the book. Yeah, it doesn't write the book for you, but it was just the catalyst. So so you might have something that's like sticking you and you need something to unstick you, but you're still going to need the grit to make it happen.
Yes, you will.
Okay.
I mean, nothing has ever been harder for me than this book.
Oh
Nothing.
man. Okay, so this question is going to be interesting because so I read the like first sec well, I read the very beginning versions, I read longer versions. There were parts where Julie put in a lot more and then actually ended up taking a lot out. She wasn't sure like what to kind of keep in. So I want to ask you what as far as the things that stayed inside of the book, what was the most vulnerable part that you revealed or kept in, and what made you decide to include that, despite the fear and the hesitation? So what was a piece that like you're kind of surprised stayed in, and how did you decide
Yeah.
to include it?
This, one of the biggest problems with this book was that I could not decide if it was a memoir or a business development book. And this caused me great heartache because I felt like it was both. But I wrote the first draft as memoir. And I thought originally I was going to write from 2007 to 2022. Quickly realized that the years between 2018 and 2022 were like 3 decades, and the book would have been like a bajillion pages, and I wanted a fast read, so I trimmed it. That also conveniently helped me get rid of stories that I'm not ready to tell yet, right? There are stories that I needed more time, and I was getting hung up even though those were like later chapters. So then once I realized, okay, the book is called Million Dollar Grit. I want to show them the grit and all the lessons that actually got me to that first $1 million year. Ironically, that ends before I even am really known, right? Like most people know me from 2018 on. So I thought, well, I'm going to go back in time. I'm going to really just do the parts where nobody knew who I was and what I was doing. It's not true. Some people did. So I did have to include in the book several episodes that led to why I ended up getting divorced in 2014, because there was a lot there that really kind of pushed me to figure out how to make money, and that's part of my story. So that I left in. I'm okay with it. I'm not like surprised I left it in, but those stories are old enough and healed enough that like I feel strong. There were some stories in the later years that I'm just like, I'm just not, I'm not ready. I can't tell those stories
That's
yet.
okay. That's part two. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I hear you. So what you're saying is kind of like the hardest stuff was the later stuff. So conveniently you were able to kind of keep that out. But I
Yeah.
but I
And
totally understand
I
also,
also, I also like, I didn't want it to just be like one of those tell-all books. I was like,
Yeah.
what's the point of that? So I can
Yeah.
like show all the like crazy crap that happened in my life. And so the first version was a memoir. Then I wrote it again, and I definitely added more business
Right.
development. And so now it's really, I would say, 55% business, 45% memoir. So I mean, the early drafts you read were like 90% memoir, 10%
Right.
business. So,
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's true. It's like, well, we definitely need stories and we need to understand like, people's origin story, where they came from, especially like how it relates to what we're going through, maybe currently, past, like whatever, like all the things. And I also think it's really helpful for people to see like not overnight successes and just kind of grinding and just doing the things, but how one thing that I loved about the book is that it really like shows how your experience and things you've gone through can feed into the success, like the like future successes. So it's not like, you're successful despite something, you're successful because of all of it. Like it all goes in, it's all part of a recipe of who you are. Because I think we all bring something to the table and we all have experiences that we bring. And it's like, those can actually that helps you be the person that you should be and that you could be, right?
yeah.
And actually using those things to kind of push yourself forward. So I think it's really important to have it in there, as hard as it was as it
Yeah.
was to write. Okay, so kind of in that same vein, so how did this writing this book like, or did it change, and how did it change your perspective on your own journey? Like, kind of revisiting those things. First of all, I couldn't remember that. I couldn't believe that you could remember all that stuff. I was like, gosh, like she remembers these things with such detail, and I don't think I would be able to remember these things so well. But like in relearning things, we automatically like reprocess them, right? And so, what did you like learn about yourself in this process that you hadn't really thought of before or hadn't reflected on before?
That's a great question because I originally saw the book as just a whole bunch of stories and like, timelines. And what I realized as I was, it's like a rock tumbler, it's got jagged edges. Every time I like tumbled the story around, like I was trying to distill like what was the lesson, what was the lesson. I think I had this aha that almost every lesson that I teach in the book, I'm still using to this day. And there was this part of me that felt like, gosh, people are going to get through this book and they're going to be like, this is so simple. And I feel this way sometimes about my products. I'll like warn people. I'll be like, this is going to be kind of underwhelming. Like you're going to be like, okay, but like actually do it and it changes your life. I mean, this is how I feel about like something like the paper whiteboard or sacred time. I tell people these things and they're like, okay, cool. It's not like rocket science. And I think when I went back over all the stories and the details, I was like, oh my gosh, these lessons I learned and I'm still using them to this day, despite, many, many millions later and totally different business models. And so that made me feel like if people actually put this into action, they actually do they like embody the lesson, it is going to change their life and their business. There's just no way it's not.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love that. Um, okay. So yeah, because I think anytime we tell a story, we learn from it, like because again, it's like I think there's a lesson that you learn in a story in the moment, and then there's a lesson that you learn after it. Or I guess there's a before, during, and after. And that's
Yeah.
why like you're like, oh, we can laugh about this now. Like like people will say that because it's like it's a totally different experience, but it's worth hashing it out and going over it because again, like you said, like what did I learn from it then? What am I learning from it now? What am I still learning from it now? Because it has all these little gems in there. So I love that. Okay. So I'm trying to see how hard I want to go on this next question. All right. Okay. I like this one. Who is going to hate this book and why are they wrong or are they?
Oh man.
See, I was like, I gotta put you on the spot. She doesn't know these questions ahead of time.
I mean, I
Who's gonna hate it?
if I had released this book in draft 1, 2, or 3, like there would be a lot of people
Sure.
that would hate that book.
Well, who's gonna be convicted? Like that's what I want to say. Like, right? Like, who's gonna read this book and not want to follow the advice? Like, so I don't mean even really hate it in a bad way, but like, who's gonna hate it? Be like because it's gonna be
Because it's going to be like, it's going to hit too close to home.
yes, yeah. Because that's what I think. I think that people might.
I think the people that, yeah, I don't think they'll hate it, but I do think that people who tend to think that there is a shiny secret knowledge that successful people have that once they get, they'll be successful. Or people who think that it's a tactic that's going to take them to the revenue spot they want, they will be disappointed in the book because it will not contain secret knowledge or trendy tactics. So I think they'll be disappointed in the book. I think people who idolize their plans will be convicted because they will see how much was like Julie stumbling around in the dark and just like
like
trying
perfectionists,
things.
you
Yeah,
mean?
perfectionists and people who just like they just rely on all these plans and goals. And I had none of it. It was just like a set of accidents that happened, but not accidents as in like, oh, lightning struck Julie, but just
Right.
like you'll see that I just was like, well, I have a problem. All right, let me fix it. Like the level of action that I took, I like outacted everybody else. I mean, that's the bottom line. And if that's not like a an ode to action and the power of action, I don't know what is.
Totally. Well, I think that's what people love about you, though, is that you are a realist. I make this joke. Sometimes we'll be like on a coaching call or like, in our community or something. And Julie will just say something so real and raw. And I'll be like, Julie, like, no. like, like someone, like you'll almost agree with them. Like they'll be like, what do I do about this? And you're like, I don't know. That sucks. And I'm like, Julie, we're not supposed to say that. We're supposed to be positive. But I think that's what people love about you is that like, at least we know you're going to give it to them straight. And so
That's true.
I think this book is that, it's not like sugarcoating, but I do think that this is what people need right now. And I think it's like to combat the, shiny pills that everyone's like, touting. It's like, no, here comes Julie with the real lessons in the
Well,
real life.
one of the things that was interesting is that because the book starts in 2007, I didn't realize how many things have changed. Because like I'm writing the story, I was reading them back. I'm like, I'm such an idiot. Why did I do that? Or like, what was I thinking? Because now in this age, it looks absolutely ridiculous. So there was a little bit of like humble pie I had to eat because I thought, man, people are going to read this and be like, duh, Julie, like, why did you do that? But I really wanted to be truthful to like the moment I had the aha, why I had the aha, and what it changed about what I did, because I felt like that is going to help them see like how the journey went until I was making $1 million.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, this is perfect. That was a perfect segue into my last question. So, what advice in this book contradicts something you told someone 5 years ago, and why were you wrong then?
Good grief, woman. Where did you get these questions? Did Jenny give you these questions?
I was like, I gotta ask questions that like no one's gonna ask, that like
All
only
right,
I
hold
can
on.
ask.
Say the question again.
Okay, so like, what advice in the book contradicts something that you would have told someone 5 years ago, or that maybe you did tell someone 5 years ago, and why were you wrong then?
Well, the only one that I can think of is that there's a lesson in the book and it's called Say Yes Quickly. And there's a whole lesson as to why saying yes quickly like really helped me. But I do mention in the book that advice could be very detrimental to you once you get to a certain point. And I think that as I grew, I realized that saying yes quickly can also get you in a crap ton of trouble as you're making more, you're more influential. And so because, if I'm talking to someone who's new in business, I have to like take off the glasses that I wear today and I have to remember what I was then. So there are
100%,
times
yeah.
when I give advice to people and I tell them not to say yes quickly. I tell them slow down, stop saying yes to everything, like, simplify, like all of those things which are things that I need to do in my life today. But I don't know that that's actually always the best advice when you're beginning because saying yes quickly got me a lot more opportunities than being careful and deliberate. So that's what comes to mind.
I love that. No, I think it makes sense, and I think that's actually one of the problems today that I see a lot of people doing is giving advice from their today person.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
And
like,
yeah,
yeah, it's so unfair because like it's just not the same mindset. But I think that's like something that if we could tell people, this is like even in content you make, like in the way you write things and the advice you give, like, and even being honest, like what you said, what we were just saying of like, well, in 2007 it was this, in 2017 it was like this, and like things are different now. And just admitting that, I think, is really like helpful
yeah,
to people because again, it's like that advice might not be the same. Like, I mean, it shouldn't be the same, right? Because
right.
everything's changed. And so I think it's really cool and honest to like look at things like that and to explain things that way. And I think everyone should be doing that for sure.
Yeah. Well, I decided with this book that we were gonna make it free. and we were going to give away the book. And then we added some paid products that went with it. So the 3 paid products are the private podcast and audio. That one, then a spreadsheet that I use to help people kind of think about what it looks like to actually have $1 million a year. And then a book GPT. I've been testing out the GPT, and I had someone in my DMs. I just want to pull it up here. The GPT is really, I'm really excited about it because I worked hard to make sure that it was referencing the chapters. And I got this feedback for someone who said, I worked through the first 3 chapters last night. I made so many significant breakthroughs. It was pure gold. I had to put it up for the night because it was so intense. It was one of the most productive reflections I've ever had in my life. I was like, wow. Okay. So I think, I'm really excited that the GPT will be available with the book because I think that's going to make a big difference in actually acting out the lessons. And the lessons are for anyone, any business trying to make their $1 million. It does not have to be just the type of business I had. And that was one of the hardest parts is like, how they say it's really difficult to make something simple? The book looks and feels today, the version I have looks simple. And it took me, I've never worked more hard in my life to make a book simple than I did with this book.
I love it. It's awesome. It is an awesome book. You guys are gonna love it. So where do they go to get all of the goodies?
Yeah, you're gonna go to milliondollargrit.com on October 26th. It will be live. You'll be able to download the free book. It'll be either in an EPUB file, so you can use it on your book reader, or a PDF file, either one. And then you'll be offered the paid products on the back end. They're going to be super affordable. And just thanks everyone for your support. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for this episode of The Gorgeous Effect. As always, if you want to get a copy of my book, it's at milliondollargrit.com. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We're just getting started with this podcast, and we're so excited to have you on this journey with us. If you found value in today's episode, we'd be over the moon if you'd consider subscribing. It's like a virtual high five that keeps us going. And hey, if you're feeling extra gorgeous, leaving a review would mean the world to us. Your words not only make our day, but it also helps other amazing folks just like you find our show through your review. Lastly, if you know someone who could use a little sales pep talk, why not spread the love? Share this episode and let's grow this gorgeous community together.